Okay. Okay. So thank you so much. And I'm excited, like I said, to be gifting you this course in funding concept note writing. It's just the initial step into proposal writing, but it's really a good start. And you can already use the information to do some concept note writing already. In terms of background, my name is Joan Larocque. I hold a Master's of Science in Development Economics, a Bachelor of Science degree. I'm also a fellow Chartered Certified Accountant. Equivalent is the CPA in Uganda, and also a facilitator in organizational development. I like to refer myself, since COVID started, as an in-person and online speaker, trainer, and coach in topics of resource mobilization, for which we have concept note writing today. Financial management, grants management, and leadership, like I will show you. I'm very interested in leadership and communication lately, and I've invested the last 1 year educating myself on how to be a better leader for myself first and then for others. So it's really exciting area that I like to venturing into. I have over 15 years work experience for working for both local and international not-for-profit organizations and a public university. I did work in Makerere University. I was part of the team that set up their grants and contracts office, and I'm so glad that from the initial project that we did in College of Health Sciences, the university has adopted that as something that all the colleges should have. So yeah, so resource mobilization is key, and all what we are speaking to is relevant for civil society organizations, NGOs, ACBOs, universities, associations like yours, social entrepreneurs, and all that. If you want more information, you can visit our website, which is www.majestassociates.com. Majeste stands for, in Latin, stands for teacher. So I just love to teach. So if there's an opportunity, I like to convert everything into a classroom and teach. So what we are covering today, we are going to learn about concept notes, so why they're important, how concept notes are structured, what we need to include in a concept note, and we'll also go through an example, and this should give you a good head start to what you can actually do with concept notes already. Yeah, other things that Majeste does, I've already spoken to this. We provide strategy development support organizations for those who need that. Resource mobilization, like a training like this, and also the full proposal. Proposal development, we do understand that, yes, we want to teach, but there's those who might want us to write proposals for them. So we do write proposals. We have associates that are quite experienced and advanced in proposal writing and can write for any type of donor. We take USAID to be one of the most complex donors. So if you can manage USAID, then there is no any other that can be complicated. Leadership and communications, I've already spoken to that. How we do our work, we do it in person, online, and we also have self-created courses on Udemy. So if somebody wants to go and learn how to write grants, you can actually go and do the course on your own in Udemy. Yes, so I love this quote. So you may be feeling like, oh, I wish I had come across this concept note writing and proposal writing in long ago, but no, don't worry. The greatest gift that you can give anyone is your own personal development, and we are so glad that you've decided to join this session on a Sunday morning when you could have been doing something else, including sleeping or doing some other things. But yeah, so thank you for coming to do that. Before we go into the topic of today, we wanted to put everything into context, and we want to start with resource mobilization and trying to define what is resource mobilization before we go into what is concept note writing. Any ideas, any suggestions about what resource mobilization could be? I suppose I would like to make this as interactive as possible, but it's really upon you to participate accordingly. What do you say? Anyone wants to try out? What resource mobilization is? Yes.
Thank you. Being that maybe if I could request Jude Mutete. If he fails, then I will chip in.
No, this is
What I
adult
think.
learning. There is no failing. Okay. Yes, Jude, you have been singled out to try out. Are you muted, perhaps, that we are not hearing you, or are you passing the mantle to somebody else?
Okay, maybe let me chip in if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yes, please.
I think it has a lot to do with trying to gather the necessary resources to execute any given project or program or activity. And the resources, I think they go beyond just finances, maybe to even human resources and even the in-kind.
Yes, yes. Fantastic. That's a great answer. Sure, resource mobilization goes beyond just finances and looks at other resources as well. So it's the process of getting resources from those who have and using different mechanisms like we will see in a bit, and using it to implement organization predetermined goals. So you have projects, organizations that you want to do different things for, but you don't have resources. But then you need to know who has and how can you assess those resources from them. I like to present this 17. Is there somebody we are hearing echo from? Somebody, could you just mute? If you're not, I could help you mute you actually. We just mute. Oh, it's taking some time.
That is Jude, I think he was trying to.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's fine. So you can, there's some echo still coming. Okay, maybe we just encourage each other to mute if you're not speaking so that we don't get echoes. So I was saying I really like to bring the 17 sustainable development goals, in part because major funders and many donors or sponsors are always aligned to these sustainable development goals. So depending on what you do, if you can align yourself to these sustainable development goals, and we are so privileged that they are categorized under the economic pillar, environmental pillar, and social pillar. So somehow, somewhere, one of the things that you do, the projects that you do is perhaps it lies under quality education, maybe it's about gender, maybe it's about poverty, or it's about decent work, whatever reason that you do, somehow you are aligned to the sustainable development goals. And that is a place where many funders converge. So if you are able to uplift even that small project and say, okay, even while I'm implementing this project here, it's contributing one way to the other, then you're one step towards getting into what the funders may be interested in funding. So think about sustainable development goals and how your project contributes to that, because like we will see in a bit, we want to make sure that all that we propose appeals actually to the funder, appeals to those resource providers. Okay, let's move on a step further and we look at what is a proposal. Now this is a tricky one. I should have done a survey of who is married and who is not married and who has ever made a marriage proposal. Do we have some people who have made a marriage proposal? How was it and how did you go about it? We have some examples. Or who has had? How people make marriage proposals.
Our Secretary General, Andira Ronald, is online.
Yes.
I think he's one of the best experts on this.
He's the best expert on this subject. Eh? Let him tell us. Yeah. Yes, Ronald, you're on the spot.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, John. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
I think Robert has just thrown the spade at me, but still, it wouldn't be a bad idea to share in the concept of marriage. Not from a professional point of view. I've never been married, but of course, at any one point in time, a person who is alive would want to get married, definitely. But of course, the circumstances, of course, involve resource mobilization, communication, quite a lot. Yeah, so it's a tedious challenge and journey to make.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so it's
one worth trying, definitely.
one worth trying. So it's quite a lot. You need resources. You need there's quite a lot, like you said. So perhaps there's going to be some research. And many times when you propose, you want to make sure that the person says yes. So you're going to do your groundwork to say, okay, where can I propose from? What venue? What gifts do they like? Who are their friends and all that, and make the environment fertile for you to get that yes. So you're going to invest in a lot of time. So what we are saying, that is also similar to a funding proposal. We make sure that we provide the best case, a compelling case, so that the funder does not reject the idea that we are saying. So it takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of us finding out what they want. Of course, we know what we want, but we also find out what does the other person want. Similar with funder, we want to know what do they want, because funders do not just give money for giving. There are also some things that they want to achieve. So a funding proposal is used to request funds by providing a compelling case for that proposed project. So just like a marriage, a marriage proposal, which you can take as a project, similar also in the funding space, that you need to do the groundwork, make sure that you get that yes. And there are so many types of announcements, how donors communicate that there's opportunity for you to apply for. There is the solicited. Solicited is where they'll make announcement either on the website or on the newspaper and say, oh, there's opportunity here, respond. These are the areas that we want applicants to respond to. But there are those funders who are unsolicited, who are quiet. They don't say that they fund, but they actually fund. So you need to be aware of this. And why we are doing this is that actually, even those who make announcements out there, you can actually go to them and find out whether they can fund your idea without necessarily waiting for them to put in the newspaper on their website. Then there's the continuation, like you're already implementing a project with the funder, and then you're able to demonstrate that the work that you're doing is impactful, but you need maybe more resources to even do, maybe have a greater scale or a scale up and do even better. So you can go through a non-competitive process. So that is always good. If you have a funder, it's always good to interest them to continuously fund you by presenting things that are interesting to them. Then there's renewal. Of course, these days there is a lot of demonstrate that you have done well, so that we can renew. We've even seen jobs where they give you a 1-year contract based on satisfactory performance, and now they also include an availability of funds. So those renewals, if you already have something and there is a renewal, you need to make sure that you demonstrate impact, you demonstrate value for the people that are giving you resources. Then there's the supplementary. We've seen this a lot during COVID. You're doing totally a different thing, but then, there's an emergency, there's an epidemic, and you need to respond to it. So you can easily request for a supplementary funding so that you can respond to a need that is there. And so we saw so many organizations pivot during this COVID, but it was also one way to remain relevant when things were slow. But then if you are in the light there showing that you're responding to something that was required, then it also puts you in a better place for you to go and say, okay, by the way, this is what we do, because you are there when something was needed within the community or society where you are. Then there are types of proposals. We are going to look at the concept note today, but I wanted to say there's also the letter of inquiry where you can write an inquiry. Of course, funders don't like you to write to inquire about something which is already on their website. And that's why we say you need to do research and find out as much as possible what they do so that you don't ask them in a letter of inquiry whether they can fund your project. I like to give an example of a funder where I belong to a women's group, and we thought that if we asked them for some money to boost our women's group, we could actually involve many more women into the club. Unfortunately, when we tried to Google them and look up their website, there was nothing. So we wrote a letter of inquiry. They responded to us and say, yes, we do fund, but we have cycles this time and this time. And so perhaps you can get back to us next year, but they introduced us to another funder. So that's how we used the letter of inquiry, and it was an email. It was an email, so let's not be shy to do those letters of inquiry, to just inquire. And what do you put in the letter? Every time you have to make that connection, make the connection, you tell them about, maybe start with what you understand, what the donor does and what you do, and find out whether they are interested in funding the kind of work that you do. The letter of proposal is also another one. This is common with corporates. Corporates don't like full big proposals with so many components and things like that. Sometimes it's just like, okay, we are so and so, this is what we want, and this is what is in it for you. I like to give an example. When I worked with WaterAid, we implemented about 4 rounds of the MTN marathon. It was us going to MTN and say, you know what? Yes, there's this marathon happening. Yes, there's a community. This was in Northeast, in Karamoja region. Not that the Karamoja region was going to give them lots of profit, but they wanted to associate with the community. They wanted to show that they actually can support communities that do not necessarily give them profit as part of their social corporate responsibility. And for 4 consecutive years, they gave us that money to do water points. And for them, what was in it for them? Visibility, branding, and all that. So you go, you find the water hole. Those water points have MTN and things like that, and big party and things like that. That's how the corporates find that is what is in it for them. And for us, we're able to deliver water sources, and the community was able to benefit from those water. Concept note, I will not go into that. And the full proposal, this is when you go through all the components of a proposal. And if you're interested, we have an upcoming proposal writing course, and I will just tell you a bit more about it at the end of the course. So what is a funding concept note? I've just made some 3 points here. It's a careful thought of your idea or project, or it could be a brief outline of your project, or a shorter version of a proposal. So a careful thought of your idea. So it's good practice to always develop concept notes for the different ideas or projects that you want. Why? Because by the time an opportunity comes, if you have not yet gathered your ideas and put something into a concept note, it's very difficult for you to quickly turn it into a full-blown proposal that may require so much information to be put into. For example, if there are those funders who like you to do a lot of market research or a lot of research about what you're trying to do, and you need to do, maybe hire somebody to do for you that, then that is really time consuming, and yet the time for you to respond may be within 2 or 3 weeks. So having that practice of saying, okay, these are the project ideas that we have, and we have prepared brief concept notes, which we can turn around quickly into a full proposal if it's required, or even just use that concept note to find out from funders if they are willing to fund. We just move into knock on the door, telephone call, email, and something, and share that concept note. Yeah, it could also go for the brief project and a shorter version of the proposal. And like we will see in a bit, why do you think concept notes are important? Maybe let's have some discussion. Why do you think concept notes are important? Now that we have seen what they are, we can also already begin imagining why we think they are important. And feel free, I can now see we are 7 online. Yes, I can see. Yeah, Felicitas, Fulgency has joined. Oh, we have a lot of Fs today. Francis, Robert, Edward, Ronnie, Jude. Okay, anyone would like to tell us why you think concept notes, why you think or why you feel concept notes are important? Mm-hmm. Are you muted? Okay.
Can I try?
Please
I
do.
don't know. You know me, I had an early breakfast. It says so I think some of these guys have not yet eaten anything.
Oh, sorry.
But I think a concept note being a shorter version of the full-blown proposal, I think one importance is that you can quickly present your entire proposal in a very short time, especially to the very busy, big funders.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true. And Ronnie is saying a concept note explains the bigger picture in a few words or pages to the intended funder. Yeah, so yes, those are why they are important. So you can use it to check if your project is what the funder is interested in. You can use it to market to your prospective resource provider, the project that you're doing. You can use it to interest sponsors into funding your unique project. Sometimes you have a unique project which maybe there will be no calls for proposals for because it's unique. Nobody knows about it. So putting it into a concept note and then saying, okay, there's this unique project and you support it. You can also use it to demonstrate the importance of your project in brief, like Ronnie said, a bigger picture into a shorter version. And from the funder's perspective, they can actually use it. They use it quite a lot to sieve opportunities, to sieve applications, to see whether they're interested in that particular organization or individuals submitting a full proposal. And generally, it saves you time from going into a full proposal, and yet the funder may not be interested in what you're trying to do. So I love these zebras. Does anyone know what is unique with zebras? Anyone knows anything unique about zebras? You can unmute or you can type on the chat. Nobody has an idea about zebras, but don't they look beautiful? Jude, did you want to say something? Yes.
Zebras look like horses.
Okay, zebras look like horses. Thank you. But they are not horses. Yeah. Anything else?
What I know. Zebras.
Okay. Okay, there was something. Each zebra has different strips. That is Flugentia. They have strips, but they are not similar. That look similar, yet they are individually unique. Exactly. So when you're on first sight, you can think that they are similar, but they are not. Every zebra has a unique pattern, unique strips that differentiates them from the other. And maybe they can also use it to camouflage. You may be thinking you're looking at one, but you're already looking at different ones. So they can also use that uniqueness to dissuade their prey, those who may try to be looking up to them. So similar with concept note writing, similar with proposal writing, sometimes if we don't pay particular attention, then we will, is this, so is Jude will ask you to mute. We are getting a little echo from you. Okay. So yeah, so similar with concept notes or even proposals. We need to make sure that we tailor. Okay. I don't know why this doesn't get muted. Okay. So similar with concept note writing, we need to make sure that we don't just copy and paste. Different funders have different unique needs, have different things that they want to achieve. And even while you have a similar idea or similar project, you need to make sure that at any one time you're tailoring it to suit their purpose. So that would require you to know your donor, your sponsor, funder. Use all those words because also like donors, some of them like to be called friends, partners, donors, sponsor, whatever name they want to be called. So call them what they are. They, like I said, they want to achieve something, and you need to research about them and follow their guidelines. If there are templates, forms that you should use, be sure that you use those. And if they're not there, ask. And then the other part is you being able to know your project well. And like we said, you can actually use a concept note to already summarize your ideas and waiting for the opportunity to respond in a full-blown proposal. So the sweet spot is where you meet your funder, you meet the community, you meet your organization in that intersection. So when you think about a project, say let's talk about now common during this COVID was gender-based violence. Of course, there's also unemployment, and we will see an example about that. What is the need within the community? If it's gender-based violence within the community, then okay, we look at an organization. What can we do as an organization? Are we mandated to work in this area? Are we registered? We have everything, and we have the resources, but we lack. Perhaps it's money that we lack. So what are our priorities? What do we intend to do with the gender-based violence to make sure that we minimize or control it to the maximum? And what do we need to do? And why are we doing this anyway? Why should we care? Why should anybody care about if there's gender-based violence or not? So all those are things that we put into our analysis so that we have a convincing point to pass across. And then we go and look for the funder who is interested in GBV and find out why they're interested in GBV, what is their priorities, what are their goals, what are the objectives. So if we then are able to meet everybody within that sweet spot, then we are at a good place to actually be competitive, to actually be funded. So when we think about any project that we do, with all that we do is for maybe a community or is for a place or something, we have what it takes to do that, but perhaps we lack resources, it may be people, it may be money or whatever we lack, and there's a funder somewhere who is interested in that particular work. So when we meet at this sweet spot, then we have higher chances of actually being able to provide a strong justification or provide a strong concept note. So how the concept note is structured, first and foremost, we need to have a title that speaks to what we intend to do, and it should be compelling in a way that when somebody reads the title, they actually know what it is about, and it's captivating in that they feel like, okay, because from this title, I actually want to see more details. I want to understand what this is about. Then the next section is the introduction and background. You can do introduction or background, whatever it is. So where you're coming from, why you are interested in that particular thing, and generally trying to give a picture of why that potential funder should be interested in. Then the goal, like what do you intend to achieve? What is the impact? You imagine, okay, this is the project. At the end of 3 years or 5 years, this is what we would like to see. So that end goal, having it there, and then what will help you achieve that goal, and those are the objectives, those are the actions. I can see, Jude, you are writing on my slides. So yeah, so the objectives which help you achieve the goal, and then the expected results. So it's in proposal where you have to, even before doing anything, you already have to anticipate what results they are, because it's where the funders will be interested to know, okay, are we interested in actually funding this? Is this going to help us realize our priorities or our objectives? It's in proposal that you also need to talk about sustainability. No one wants to invest in something which after they leave, then the thing also collapses with them. So it raises credibility issues for the fund and even for you as an organization. You can imagine if you're a community like your association, you bring in perhaps young people, train them into table tennis, do what, and things like that, because the funders has invested in you. But as soon as the funder goes, everything collapses. The future of those people who have bought into your idea, into their vision, and thinking that they can make a future out of that, and everything comes to a collapse. So even while thinking about a project and the opportunity that you're going to get funding, you're going to get resources for it, also think about how can we sustain this, so that sustainability component or sustainability plans are actually factored within the project, and the money or resources that you get will help you also with the sustainability of that project. Funders really get excited when they feel like we are going to invest, and then there is also sustainability, and there are different mechanisms to do that. Then the budget, of course, how much will it cost for you to accomplish that goal? And of course, you have the objectives that clearly articulate the kind of money, because in the objectives, you have the activities or the actions that you're going to take, and you can clearly know for this project, these are I need human resources, maybe I need logistics or transport, I need the consultants maybe to do ABCD, I need this and that. So you can already kind of estimate what your budget is going to be. In the concept note, sometimes they ask for detailed budget, but sometimes they ask you to provide an overview, high-level overview of what the costs are likely to be. And being your project, you should have a good understanding of what the budget should be. Then the other information, like prepare the budget, the date, the contact. If you need to be reached out, you need to be able to put it there. Profile, it's good to always have your company profile. If the company profile is required, then you can quickly also submit the profile. If it's not required, then you can leave it out. So up to this point, are we still okay before we go into what should we include in the concept note? And I think this is what we all came in for today. What should we include in the concept note? Are we good? We can continue. Any questions, any comments to this point? Okay, I'm assuming everybody's well. That's where we are
good. Let's continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so let's start with a question. We have this. What would you consider as a need? Is it lack of a medical hospital in an economically depressed Northeast region, or is it poor people in Northeast region with health needs that are currently not being addressed?
I think there's no question because.
Hello, what would you consider as a need? A, lack of a medical center in an economically depressed Northeast region, or poor people in Northeast with health needs that are currently not being addressed. What would you consider? Please type, please talk if you can, and let me know. What would you consider as a need? Is it A? Is it B?
I would go with A.
I'm thinking A. A.
Okay, why do you say A? I have seen, so two of you are saying A. Why do you say A? Felista says A. Robert, you said A. Ronnie, you said B. So I would want somebody saying A, tell us why you say A, and somebody saying B, tell us why you say B.
I think Jude's network is not good.
Yeah, I think he should. Oh, and you say he's driving, so he cannot type. Otherwise, his network is really poor.
But I would go with A because I think if you are pitching a proposal to a sponsorship partner, then fronting a medical center as something missing is something you can easily write about, but write about and get funded. But if you talk about poor people, then it's not clear what are the sponsors supposed to be funding, giving people money or what, because that's not exactly very sustainable.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Ronnie, you said B.
Yes, I said B because one, they are poor in their economic situation. But two, they also have an urgent need, which needs to be addressed.
Okay.
And that makes it very critical.
Okay.
That it is a need, an urgent need, actually.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for those perspectives. Yeah, a medical center in an economically depressed Northeast region. So when we are looking at a need, when we are looking at a problem, we always look at for whom are we doing this? They're either people or things that we do our projects for. It may be for the environment, it could be forest, the water, or something, but there's something that is in need or there's something that is challenged. So that is one thing that we should always think about, and then make sure we say, okay, if this community has a problem, then what do we need to do in order to solve this problem or to provide that need? So lack of a medical hospital in an economically depressed Northeast region, you cannot necessarily know whether the medical center is what is necessary or what is needed. B says there are poor people in Northeast region with health needs that are currently not being met. So there are poor people, community perhaps that you're looking at too. They have health needs that are not being met, and maybe they actually need a medical center to address that need. What we are saying is that when you think about a problem, when you think about a need, look at who it affects, how it affects them, and how you need to intervene. I like giving the example of the refugees. So once one of my previous workplaces, I will not mention. So there were refugees that, of course, Uganda has been host for refugees for a long time. So of course, when the refugees came, being an organization, we said, no, we need to intervene. We know there are many children and women that are coming into the country, and so as a first thing that we need to do, let's just procure a number of sanitary ware so that we give these refugees who are coming to the country. So without consultation, lots of sanitary ware was produced and delivered. To the dismay, the refugees did not use those sanitary ware. In fact, it was against their culture that they use disposable sanitary ware, and it's not something that was that fitted their needs. Lots of money was invested into that, but that's not what the community, the women community, actually needed. So sometimes we need to understand who is in need, what the problem is, and what our intervention is going to be. And if we think about the need as being for people or for things, then we are likely to intervene in a better way. So in this case, the poor people in Northeast region with health needs that are currently not being addressed are the people actually need something, and it may be a medical center, or it may be economic empowerment so that they can afford, or it could be that the medical center is too far away from them and they need something that is close to them. So the intervention could be varied depending on what is actually required. Okay, so this is the concept note, and now that we know how we go about finding out what the need is and what our intervention will be, what our idea or our project is about, who our targets are. So in every project, be clear who your target is. If you're able to even profile them into the minute or into a more granular thing, then it's even better for you, because then you come with an appropriate solution or appropriate intervention. Who is your target? You need to be clear about who your target is. Where are they found? So you can say, oh, poor people in Uganda, but funders may not be interested in funding poor people. Even they could be poor people in the central region or central region, but for them, in their mind, they will be looking at U-Boss. What does U-Boss say? Oh, the poorest regions is north and east. So they may be interested in funding where statistics or where there is information that that tells them where they should be investing their money. So being clear where they are found and having a proper justification and need, that is the need of why they have that particular problem and why the problem exists. Because if you're able to demonstrate or they're able to describe why the problem exists, then you're on one stage to finding out a solution for that particular problem from maybe the root cause of that particular problem. Why is it important? So people like to be connected to a cause. They want to be appealed to emotionally. I'm like, okay, if we don't fund, then what? What is in it for them? What do they have to lose? So you also need to find out why is important and why those particular people should care. Who else is involved? Because you need to know who else is involved so that you're not proposing a project which somebody else is already doing and you're not able to say what unique thing or what value, additional value that you're adding. So who else is involved? Being open about, yes, there's competition or there's some other people doing A, B, C, D, but for us, this is what we're going to do. Or for us, we are coming into this because we want to scale into a place where this project or this work is not reaching. And what you propose to do now that you know who is your target is, you know who the problem is, and you can now propose an intervention. What is your goal? If you're invested in, what do you aim to achieve after 3 or 5 years? And what are the objectives? What are those steps that are going to help you actually achieve that goal that you propose? What strategies are you going to use to achieve that? And what results do you expect? So all these are components of the concept note, and depending on how long the concept note is meant to be, you will write 1 or 2 or 3 paragraphs or sentences, if you like, because if a concept note is 2 pages on something like that, then you're not going to write like, oh, your project idea, you write like a whole 30 lines or 40 lines or something, because you need to make sure you're touching on each of these questions in terms of touching the question in terms of those subheadings that you are providing, and all this perhaps up to here. Okay, I hope my cursor is there. Yeah, up to here could be part of your introduction, and then you're talking about the problem and what you are going to do. Your goal is there, your objectives, what results you anticipate, and how you're going to measure success and how success is going to look like, because that is what the funders would like to know and see whether, okay, what you're saying is something that you can measure and you're able to demonstrate to them that, yes, these are the results that we'll be able to show you. How we are going to sustain the impact of your project. Like I said before, sustainability is important. Everybody wants that they invest and then the project continues in the long term. how much, that is this a question of budget, how much is it going to cost you to solve that problem? How much time do you need? Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? And being realistic with the time, because you might say something that, oh, in 1 year, and yet really practically, you need like 3 years to invest in that. And that comes with additional costs. So being realistic on what is possible. If, for example, yes, you have a project, it's a 3-year project, but there is funding for only 1 year, then you need to know, okay, in 1 year, this is what we can promise. Because then if you promise more than what you will be able to deliver, it acts as a downside for you. And how is your project helping the funder? So that's where we talked about the sweet spot. Anything that you do also demonstrate how your project is going to help the funder achieve their priorities or their objectives. Any question with this? Before we get into an example. So this is what you need to include in your concept note, and you can then group them into this structure. So you have the title, you have a few questions that will help you go make your introduction or your background. You have your goal and objectives, your expected results, sustainability. So all those questions that we are seeing are those that you can actually fit within this structure, and then you're good to go with a concept note that responds to what the funders would also like to realize. So I would like us to go through a short example on how we can actually practically use what we have covered now into getting an example done. So if we talk about, for example, high poverty rates in Uganda, we have, and of course in project, it's not enough for you to say, oh, there's a problem here. It's always good practice to have external authorities complementing or complementing what you're trying to say, because people buy into, like the example I gave you when I talked about poverty. Yes, there could be poverty, but then the funder will go to you, UBOS, that is the government agency responsible for producing data, and they will want to say, okay, does UBOS also say that? Yes, you can say, yes, UBOS says this, but actually the situation is worse in this particular community, but at least there's that reference point. So if we talk about poverty, perhaps you have a large project you want to do in Uganda, you want to talk about what is poverty from the international perspective, and we have a figure there, 1.9 USD per person per day. In Uganda, perhaps the context is a bit different, it's a bit lower, under about 1 USD per day per person. And then you could say, yes, these are the statistics. Perhaps you've quoted from UBOS or from whoever is providing this poverty information. But then your area of focus is on youth, and you're saying the situation is actually worse for youth. Perhaps they're not even earning anything. They're having zero money because they're dependents, they're unemployed. So your project is about how can we make sure that we elevate poverty among the youth, and what evidence do you have? So somebody would be, why are you interested in youth? Perhaps you have these statistics that say that we graduate over 400 youth or people, but only 150 people get jobs. And this is captured by the World Bank. That is a source that is believed. So basically saying that almost 62.5% of the youth actually remain unemployed. So it's an area of need. It's an area that you can intervene. Who, like we asked, who are the targets? It's the youth. Why? They have no jobs, but is it enough to just say they have no jobs? You have to find out why they don't have jobs, because you want to intervene in an area that will help solve the issue of unemployment. So we say why again, asking yourself why. Perhaps they lack skills, maybe it's about the attitude and the levels of unemployment. Underemployment is very high. Why should somebody care whether the youth are employed or not? Yes, they should care because we are remember that point we are saying we are appealing to the emotions. Yes, we should care because our future lies in young people. We need to curb high crime rates. If youth remain unemployed, then they are likely to engage in risky behavior or even go into crime things because they are trying to make ends meet here and there. They're getting into addictions, being wasted. We are seeing high levels of mental issues. So there's quite a number of things that affect the society, the community, even the country by youth not being employed. Low consumption, production, and generally even can bring it up to a growth of the country. So yeah, so we have evidence. We started from a global perspective, country level. We have gone into details of what we are able to see. We know who the people are that we are targeting. We know why they are not employed, and we know why people should care because we have been able to say reasons if they are not employed, what are the likely negative consequences. So what do you propose that now you have the story, you have the backup? Yeah, perhaps you come up with your project. It's a 3-year project where you say, my project is about creating jobs for a number of youth in 3 years. And what are you going to do? Because you said one of the issues, lack of skills, attitude. So, okay, let's train or skill or reskill, perhaps give them entrepreneurial skills so that they're able to self-employ or get employed in sectors that are required. If we are saying we are channeling a lot of people, but they're not getting employed, perhaps the employers don't find that these who are graduating have the right skills for them to get employed. So let's train or skill so that they have the skills to get employed or even start their own enterprises. But then that may not be enough, perhaps. So maybe that is one of the things that you can intervene in, or you can also adventure into the long-term solution of, okay, if people are graduating, but still they cannot be employed because they still say they don't have the skill, then perhaps we need to also be advocating for curriculum enhancement, change or something, so that when people graduate, they actually come out with the skill that can be employed. Then, of course, we need to also deal with the immediate things like livelihoods. Perhaps we can incorporate in our project some livelihoods initiatives. Yes, we train them, we give them the entrepreneurial skills for them to start or join enterprises that are working. On the long term, we are advocating for curriculum enhancement so that those 400 that are being churned have the skill that can be employed. And then we are also addressing their day-to-day and things that they need to actually survive and thrive. So from there, we can see that we have our goal and we're able to pick 2 to 3 objectives. It's always good not to have very many objectives, because under each objective, you have the actions or the activities that you need to perform. So it can become a very gigantic project. So generally 2, 3, and maximum 5 for very large projects can you consider as objectives. Where are you starting? Perhaps Kampala first, and then you scale, or depending on where you are. Again, we are aligning it to the Sustainable Development Goals because we want to meet the donor at their sweet spot. So we are speaking to Sustainable Development Goal 8, which talks about employment, decent labor. We are also saying what we are trying to do is aligned to the National Development Plan. So we are not doing anything outside what the country also wants to do. We are aligned to what the donor wants in terms of SDGs, but we also know that this particular donor that we are pursuing likes to create initiatives that create jobs for young people, the backbone of an economy. All what we are doing is within what our strategic plan is as an organization. So we are good to go. We are able to put this into a concept note and present that to a potential funder. When we do that, what is it? What is the results? We know that once we invest in this project and everything goes well, we will be able to demonstrate that there is reduction in crime rate, addictions have reduced, mental health issues have been reduced, youth are actually living prosperous and dignified lives. They're able to contribute to their families, to their community, to their society. They are able to increase on production and consumption, which is good for an economy. So, and then because of the skills, they are more employable, or they can even provide their own employment. Then we think about sustainability. Okay, if we are given this money to do this, how are we going to make sure that we continue doing that? Perhaps we want to collaborate as one of our sustainability strategies, to collaborate with ongoing government programs to say, yes, we've been able to do this, but increasingly, perhaps it's something that the government can take over and provide it for a long term. So thinking about sustainability, you can look at collaborations, partnerships. Whom are you going to hand over to, or whom can you collaborate with so that that project can continue? Or even the youth themselves who eventually get employed, is there a possibility for them to give back as part of the project? So it's also part of the project design. They know they are going to be supported, but then they may need to give back, or if they're going to be given loans, they need to pay back loans, perhaps with an interest, so that other youth are also helped. So you're just thinking about sustainability of that particular initiative that you've put in. Or if you demonstrate or able to show that from this intervention, perhaps if you went to other funders to still support you. We have seen a number of incubation centers and demonstration things coming up. People have been able to show, okay, if we do ABCD, this is the result. And then they go with the funder to a funder with those results and say, by the way, this is what we have been able to do. If you invest in us, these are results that we are able. So we're seeing a number of funders supporting innovation hubs, demonstration projects, and that. And so we have our project is 3 years. We are requesting for 150 USD based on the needs that we have seen, and perhaps if we have done this before, we have past experience, we have the capacity. And we know what the funder. It's very bad to ask a funder for something that they don't provide. So if the maximum a funder has ever provided is 150 USD, and then you go and ask them for 500,000. So also being sure that even what you are asking is something that they give or they are willing to give. So the ultimate goal is that you have more engaged youth, they are productive, they are living meaningful lives, and then you're happy with your project. So this is how you can think through a project and structure it in a way that you put it into a concept note and tailor it to that particular funder. So even when you're writing, like, this, what I'm writing is for this specific funder because this is what they like. Okay. So I'm happy to attend to any comments or questions, but in terms of recap, we've been able to go through resource mobilization, defining it as being able to look for resources from those who have by presenting a strong case for why we want those resources. We have also looked at the different funding proposals, the types and forms. And why we are talking about types and forms is that we want to be proactive, not to wait for an opportunity to present itself, but that we can actually walk and ask, knock on the door. I'll get, now there are so many networks, connections and things like that. Find out another way that you can find out whether your project is funded by checking your competitors and find out who funds them. Then you can also approach those same and tell them what you're doing and if they're willing to support your idea. We have looked at the concept note and its importance, and that we can actually already begin doing concept notes in anticipation for doing full proposal, or in anticipation for even testing the waters, marketing our ideas and seeing whether they can be funded. I know of GIGA last year, about May, they put in a call where they didn't really need a full proposal. It was a concept note, and they are looking for organizations, both public, private, who are able to do business, but do business in a sense that also appeals to social impact. Social impact are responding to some minority or vulnerable groups like women, refugees, and things like that. And it was via concept note. Once you go through the concept note and you're successful, the next stage was to send in some additional information. They just want to check, okay, you sent a concept note, you went through, but what you are saying, is it on ground? Present some organizational documents, and after that, due diligence and funding. So why I'm saying this is that there are some funders who even just fund based on a concept note, and especially those which are unsolicited. Sometimes just a nice concept note and you're able to get funding. So it really saves you a lot of time investing in a full proposal, which may not be of interest. So we have gone through the structure and what to include, and we have also gone through an example. I'm looking at the clock as well and just making sure that being a Sunday, we don't want to overrun our time because we'll be having other things to do. So there we are. Any questions, any comments at this point? We're coming to the end of the session for today.
Joan, can I go?
Yes, please.
First of all, thank you very much. On behalf of my team, we are very, very grateful. This is actually very important for us because, sorry, towards the end of last year, we signed a broadcast deal with Next Media Services, which is NBS TV. They are going to be recording table tennis games and then putting them on TV. Yeah, which is a very important development. We have always advocated to go on TV. Our major setback was that that entire line has 3 stages. One, you must have the content. Content means we must have the games being played regularly. Maybe you have a running league, so people go on table and play. That is the content. So once you have the content, then you need someone to film it, to record it on video. Now, after recording it on video, then you need someone to do post-production. Post-production involves removal of redundancy, removal of time wastage, going to collect the ball and all that, to leave only the action in the footage, the action on table. Then afterwards, it has to be broadcast on TV. So those are the 4 basic stages. But what is key here is that NBS has come in to solve for us the 3 stages after the first one. So they are going to come and film, they are going to come and produce, then they will broadcast. But the first stage to have the content is where we need assistance in terms of resource mobilization. Because it's not a very small issue. To have the content means we must have players coming to play. That means they must have transport, we must have the balls, we must have the playing arena, we must have the officials catered for, etc. So this is where I reached out to my friend Francis. When he saw this kind of thing for us, he was very happy and he immediately helped us to set this up. So basically, this is coming to us at a very, very good time. So thank you very, very much. So basically, we have to satisfy on the other, what did you call it? Intersecting circles. There was something in the middle.
Sweet spot.
Yes, the sweet point. Ours looks like we have a fourth circle in there. I don't know how that works. But it looks like we have a 4th circle in there because we have the sponsorship partner or the funder, then we have the association itself, and then we have the target audience, of course, and then we have the NBS guy lacking somewhere there. I don't know where to put him. Maybe he's one of the funders or something.
Yeah.
So my question would be on that sweet point, where do we put NBS satisfactorily?
Okay. Okay, thank you for that question. So NBS could be among your funders, and like what you are explaining, you actually need more than a NBS. You need another funder to help you with the content, to help sponsor that content, so that the content is always coming in. And where does the content come from? It comes from the community. So also thinking about the community, those players, where are they coming from? Are they individuals? Are they coming from organizations? Where are they coming from? Are there some institutions that you can interest if you can have an idea of where are these players coming from? I like the way the former IGP, how he somehow through the police force was able to create a cadre of very good runners. So apparently most of the good runners that are running for Uganda are from the police force. So what he did was get to the community where there are good runners and say, you know what, come and join the police force, and for you, your job will be running for the force and things like that. We will go through, have the salaries and all that, but then this is what you're going to do. So he saw an opportunity, and he saw how he could actually bring those people within the force, and then these people run, and they're able to run for the country. So can you think cleverly like that also? Where are these players who are supposed to come? Are they coming from institutions? Are those institutions, what is in it for those institutions? Perhaps they could actually help sponsor those people, the players, so that you in one way contribute to the content. So I would imagine still your players and everybody that you are thinking about would come from the community. Many times we think that the community has nothing to offer. There are even some well-to-do parents who want their children to do table tennis or excel. Are you able to speak to them? Are you able to interest them? Are you able to encourage them to sponsor that, so that there is something coming through that? Of course, you are here as an organization, you know what you need, you already have somebody who can help you. What about NBS? NBS, when they sponsor something, they normally sponsor with other organizations or other institutions or companies and things like that. Whom does NBS work well with? Are those people interested in now that they know NBS is going to be doing ABCD, are they also willing in one way or the other, say, help you with the content? So you can cleverly look at how can we get this content in, and then so generally still you can have other sponsors maybe for content, but they will still fall under your funders, and your sweet spot will still remain there, and then you as an organization also see what else. Of course, this will be falling into what you do, and then look at also the community, who is in the community, who can help. Well, there are some institutions, like I said, that there are parents, that there are individuals who are there who can actually support that, and they can be in the community, and they can also be funders in a sense. Like we said, philanthropy, the act of giving or contributing or something, sometimes starts with us. Are there institutions that can sponsor some people? Yeah, so you just need to think through a number of strategies and find out what can actually work for you. Okay, I hope that gives you an insight of how you could go about that.
Yes, very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, so if there are no further questions, I already have, is there anyone who is here whom we don't have their email address? Perhaps you can just type in the chat your email address, so we are able to send this presentation that we have made. We will also make the video available. I wouldn't promise a video tomorrow, but I know the slides can go out by tomorrow, as long as you leave us with your email address and name. Otherwise, everybody who was invited will have the slides emailed to them tomorrow.
I just wanted to make a small contribution.
Yes.
You have removed the slide, but I just wanted to show some relationship you see where there is a sweet spot. The sweet spot is an intersection between the three, the organization, the community, and the funder. But then there are also intersections between the organization and the community, or an organization and the funder. One of the things I think the Association of Table Tennis should try and build on is also to build the community and the organization. Like you said, who is your community? What is going on between the community and the organization? Because what is going on between the two can actually help you get a funder. So once you build on the two, the relationship, are they schools? Is it a tournament? Because if you are having tournaments, maybe inter-school tournaments, then you can have a funder for that tournament, and then you will have the content. Is it, so think out of the box, have that relation between the community and the organization, and then try and bring in a funder to have that sweet spot. Because if that intersection of community and organization is not good enough, then the funding may have a problem. That's basically what I wanted to submit.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, that is a very good perspective, and it just speaks to the example I gave, where we just thought about the community, refugee community, and we said that this is going to work for them, and wow, it didn't work for them. They didn't like it, and we wasted a lot of money. So yeah, so this relationship needs to be cultivated, and yeah, thank you. Okay. So, any other questions, any other comments?
You promised to talk about the ongoing course.
Oh yes, let me do so. Sure. Yeah, there is a full proposal writing course that is coming up in the next 1-2 weeks. And let me just talk about that. Like it's here. I have something already about that. Okay. Oh, yes, that one already covered. Yes, we've gone through the recap. I already talked about what the organization does. We do strategy development, resource mobilization, proposal development. If you want proposals written for you, we actually do that, as well as leadership. And the upcoming proposal writing course, full proposal writing course, we have 2 classes. We have a Saturday class and a Thursday class. The Saturday class runs from 9 to 11 and Thursday is 3 to 5 p.m. It's flexible. You can attend Saturday or Thursday. If you are not able to make on a Saturday, you can attend a Thursday, because the Thursday is a few days ahead and Saturdays are behind. And the first one is actually Saturday is 23rd. And we have an opportunity for early birds, those who register quite early. We have a discount of 10%, or if there are 5 people and more, we have a 10% discount on the course. The investment is only 500,000, but the value that you derive from the course is enormous, because if you're serious, I like to emphasize that if you're serious, you can come out with the full proposal after the course. The idea is that we study once a week, put into practice what you have learned in a week, and then go on building on. And the course goes for 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, 2 hours every week. And yeah, and you're able to go through the full proposal writing course. And really, when you think about a proposal, it talks about how do you find funders, how do you make sure that your need is convincing, how do you set clear goals and objectives, smart goals and objectives, how do you do your M&E budget, how do you demonstrate your organization in the best possible light. So yeah, so it's really a very good course, I must say, and students also say. So you can visit our website to see what the recommendations and what people say about the course. I also had talked about research grants writing, a course which is already in Udemy. So if you want to do it by yourself, you can actually go and register in Udemy and do a grants writing course. like I said, I'm so passionate about leadership lately, and I'm one of the John Maxwell certified trainer, and we do a lot of behavior assessments, leadership, and communications. How do you lead yourself? How do you lead others? How can I understand myself better? How can I be able to convince others by understanding a bit more behavior, how people behave and how I behave? So all that, yeah. So if you're interested, actually, we can even do for you a demo on using behavioral understanding to actually be a better communicator, a better team player. Yes. Yeah, so thank you for reminding me about that.
I just wanted to tell the association
Hey.
that they you know, one of the things we have been doing is mentorship, and they deal with young people.
Oh yeah.
So once in a while, they should invite us and we do some mentorship for their people, because you know, the spirit of table tennis, it's sports is not only about the fitness or what, but also the state of mind in which some of these players are. So once in a while, we need to mentor some of these young people so that they come out better people. They use sports, but also it helps them in leadership, and that's one way that would also help you in getting sponsorship, because once they know that it's a holistic thing, you're playing table tennis, but then these people are getting much more than just the playing and the competition. Then yeah, so I think that's, you can think about it, and yeah, we are good to go. We could work out some of these programs with the association and see how we mentor some of these young people.
Thank you, Francis, for adding that. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Robert. Thank you too.
Thank you. Actually, on behalf of my team, I see Mutete, I think left, but Koboi and our Secretary General are still here, Ronnie Andira.
Yes.
Our treasurer, I think, totally failed. He's called Nyaika Ronald, and yet he's the man supposed to be looking for the money.
Yes.
That is the guy supposed to be looking for the money. But anyway, since it is a recorded session, that's okay. Actually, he requested that we have it recorded so that he can review, and then he can go through again and then pick a few pointers here and there, because this is his docket actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but we work together as a team. So since the three of us have been here, four actually, that should be good enough. And what I know also is Uganda Table Tennis Association is not like FUFA football that gets 10 billion shillings every year. Francis knows this because sometimes I write some interesting things about that unfairness. But what I know is that whether we get that kind of funding or not, we need a marketing consultant or a marketing agency. And one of the things that we are looking at, I don't know whether your firm does this, but we are looking at, you know, having a marketing consultant, someone whom we can contract and we say, look, we have this, we need this. Can you help us tie in this kind of sponsorship? Can you help us tie down this kind of partner? And then we can have like an MOU where we agree with your company. Then we can say, okay, let us facilitate the process. And when the funding, if we were like FUFA, we would say, okay, let's pay you, you go get us the funding, and that's it. But sometimes that's much more money. But there's also another arrangement whereby we can facilitate the process of going to look for the funder, and then when the funder is on board, then we can also have a commission-based arrangement. What I know is that some marketing agencies are not comfortable with commission. At least you facilitate them during the process to get the funder. Then when the funder comes, their commission is like an added benefit. But it shouldn't be you use your money, when the funder comes, then we shall share. Sometimes the marketing agencies don't like this because the process of finding the funder itself is very costly. It's not a walk in the park, like you've said, a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of connections, etc. So if we say we can fund that, now after the funder is on board, then we can have the added benefit of commission sharing. That's what we are looking for. Actually, FUFA has an in-house marketing department headed by someone named Biamukam or something. It is in-house, it is permanent, it is paid monthly salary. That's why they are tying down all these deals with StarTimes, Airtel, Bidco. There's also, I think, there's one bank there. I don't know which bank, but because they have a full-time marketing department, which they pay monthly salary, they are able to tie down all these wonderful deals. Which, of course, we are likely to be heading there, but until we are there, we can't really talk about it. So one of the things that I wanted to share is that I think we might be getting in touch with you and we say, okay, can we facilitate a process to bring some partners on board? Now that we have this value of NBS TV, which is enormous value, actually, many people want to work with NBS TV because they know what kind of value they can get if they are advertising them. So we have that weapon. It's like a wonderful weapon for us to deploy in our search for a sponsorship partner. So I think one of the things that I wanted to leave you with is to think about how we can partner together on this kind of thing.
Okay. Okay, we will think about it, and perhaps as we continue the conversation, we can see what is possible. And yeah. Okay, so thank you so much. I would want to say have a good morning still, and it was really a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.